Make sure you copy it down right. I can tell you right now from experience, these are very long problems. Long. And usually a mistake happens in the first step or two by writing something down wrong. It really is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a 1 in the first column. Good news. I already have 1. Okay. Now I want to create the rest of these to be zeros, right? So if that's a 1, these need to be zeros. Does everyone follow that? So it's kind of like elimination. What I'm going to do is add these rows. I'm going to add, using my 1, I'm going to add. We're going to work on the 2 first. What would this have to be so that when I add them, this is 0? -2. So what I'm going to do, and that's why the 1s are so nice to use, I'm going to do -2 times the first row and add it to row 2. And if you have room, you continue going off to the side for matrices. You do go sideways for matrices. Now, here's what I would do. Row 2 is the only thing changing, right? So I would simply recopy rows 1 and 3. That's the first thing I would do. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly what I said. -2 plus that is what? 0, which is exactly what we wanted, right? I mean, if it's not, we did something wrong. Now, -2 times this one plus this row. -5. Keep going. -2 times that plus row 2. 6. Now, this is like this is the bookwork tonight. Like they might give you this and this and say, what did I do? What one operation? It's one step. It's one step. Not a whole problem. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's keep going though. Let's keep working. I need to keep working in the column. This needs to be a 0. So using my 1, what would this have to be so that when I add I get 0? 3. Does everyone agree with that? So I'm going to do 3 times the first row, and I'm going to add it to row 3. Now that means all my new values are in row 3, so copy the first rows down. Make sure you copy them down correctly. So now, 3 plus -3 is 0. It better be, right? That's why we did that. Using row 1, so 3 times this plus 0. Guys? 3 times this plus 1. How about, I'm still not hearing the right answer. -2. I didn't hear negative anywhere. Now, check out my first column. Done, right? So what I'm going to do is move to the next column. Now, I need to make a 1 here. This is sometimes the trickiest part, is making that 1. But it would make absolutely no sense to make this be a 1. A, whatever I do to this row, isn't that going to change my 1 here? Yeah. Once you've changed this column, please try not to touch it. If you do, you're just going in circles. But B, why does that need to be a 1? It doesn't. Look at these rows. One of these has to be a 1 to have a leading 1, correct? So I need to make one of those be a 1 using these 2 rows. I can't use this row because if I add it to one of these 2 rows, isn't that going to change my zeros? Which I don't want to do. I don't want to change what I just did. Right? This is where we have to get tricky. Can you think of any way to kind of get a 1 out of those 2? Can you think of a way to get a -1? You should. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that 10 if I multiply by 2? Yeah. 10 and 9 just between the 2 is 1? It'll be negative 1 in this case, but then I can just multiply by negative the next step. It doesn't have to be a one-step process. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do 2 times R2 added to R3. So that'll give me a negative 10 plus 1, which is negative 1. Okay, so the first 2 rows don't change. Now, this right here, 2 times 0 plus 0 is 0. That better not change or you did something wrong. Like I said, once you have that column done, you should not change it at all. Now, 2 times row 2 plus 9. What would that give me? Negative 1. 2 times row 2 plus negative 2. 10. You with me there?
To fix that, you could just multiply by negative 2.
That's exactly what we're going to do right now. Multiply by negative 1. Is that what you're saying?
But could you do that in a step earlier? You can multiply negative 2 R2 plus R3, right? Could you do that?
Well, if I did that, that would give me 19. If I did negative 2.
Okay.
So no, it had to be done in 2 steps. Yep. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go negative 1 R3. 1, 3, negative 1, 0, negative 5, 6, 0, 1, negative 10. All I did was change the signs. Okay. Sometimes making the 1 is the hardest part. Now I've got that 1. I need to work on my column. These need to be zeros, right? So I'm going to use this 1 to make these be zeros. Let's first work on that 3. What do I have to multiply by to get 0? Negative what? Tell me what I'd write here. Negative 3, R3, where are you putting it? R1. Okay, so I'm going to write the other 2 rows because they do not change. And make sure you don't copy them down incorrectly. Now, negative 3 times 0 plus 1 is still 1. Once again, that better not change. Negative 3 times 1 plus 3 gives me 0, which is what we did on purpose. Negative 3 times negative 10 plus the 1. Negative 1. Come on, guys, you're not really speaking up. You're literally doing exactly what's right here. I'm doing negative 3 times this number, adding this number. 29, yes? Because if you aren't speaking, I can't tell if you're even, remotely in this room. You have to speak. This is what we're doing all week long. Now, I need to work on making this a 0. So what would I have to write? What do I have to multiply 1 by so when I add I get 0? So 5 what? So I'm going to write 5R3 plus R2. So, first row does not change, neither does the last row. Now this 0 plus 0 is still 0. That better not change. Now this 5 plus negative 5 is 0, which is what we wanted. Now last one, 5 times negative 10 plus 6, negative 44. Is that what I heard? First 2 columns are done. Which means I now need a 1 in the next column. There's only one place that I can put that 1. This row has a 1. This row has a 1. This is the only row that needs a 1, right? Yeah. Be dumb to make those 1s because they don't need to be 1s. That make sense? So here, I cannot use my other rows.
If you make that a 1, then that one wouldn't be to the right of it.
Well, I can switch rows,
okay.
which, as I said, I kind of tend to the end to do that. All I work on making 1s and 0s. Okay? So, I cannot use these rows to add to R2. Because think about it, if I use this row and add, isn't that going to change one of those zeros? I have no choice but to do fractions. Because I can't use the other rows without changing my zeros, which you never ever want to do. Okay? So, I'm going to introduce 1/44 R2, which actually didn't hurt the problem at all.
Then a negative 1.
That's a negative 1, yep. So I need to get it away. That didn't hurt the problem at all because that would be 0, 0, 1. I didn't even, my problem does not have fractions. I used fractions, but notice I don't have any in there, correct?
Yeah.
That's okay. Now that I have a 1, I need to work on making these be zeros. Let's work on 29. What do I have to do to R2 to get 29?
Multiply by negative. Add row 1.
Okay, so say how I would write it.
Negative 29 R2 plus R1.
Negative 29 R2 plus R1. Now these will not change. 1, 0. And what will I get in that last one? 0. I better, or I messed up, right? Okay. Let's work on making this one a 0. What would I do? Plus R3. Remember, R3 is where I'm putting it. So the first 2 rows will not change. 0, 1, and I get 0. Like Alex said, that's not quite REF, but can't I now, last step, take R2, swap it with R3?